Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me for the latest edition of the Coming Wave of Foreclosures. Today is June 15th. Let's get ready to rock and roll. This session is being recorded. If you have to leave early or if you come in later, no worries. Every single person that is registered is going to receive this recording probably within 2 or 3 hours after we're done. And I would certainly appreciate that you forward that on to as many people as possible. I'd like to thank my good friends at LikeRE.com for sponsoring this session, as well as the Denver class that we have coming up. I'm excited to go out there and meet my good friends in person. If you haven't checked out LikeRE.com, please do so. They're an up-and-coming social media platform for realtors and consumers. Without a lot of the white noise and all of the distractions, it's all about connecting and communicating. And I'm a big fan of theirs, so go check them out. So today, what are we going to cover? Well, I guess you should go ahead and meet me. And look, I want to just put aside something right now. There's more to me than just a pretty face. I mean, you're looking at the face and you're going, that's a handsome man. I get it. I get that a lot. But there's more substance to me than that. Let me tell you a little bit about my background. I am in the trenches like you. I am in the great state of Florida, licensed real estate broker, 5 offices, 270 agents and counting. I'm not one of these guys that has a course that's out there just trying to sell a course and it's not in the field happening every day. The things that are impacting you and the markets around you are impacting my office and my agents as well. I was given a title that I'm exceptionally proud of, and that is Master Short Sales Instructor. I mean, doesn't that sound cool? By the way, folks, keep yourselves muted so that we have no background noise, and we'll have Q&A at the end. I'll devote as much time as needed to Q&A. You'll be able to post questions in the chat. I'll check those at the end as well. But when I was given this title, I was pretty proud. It happened during my tenure at the CDPE when I used to work for Alex and Katie Sharfin. Once I hit 5,000 agents that I had trained, I was given this illustrious title. Then I asked, what do I get at 10? I go, what do you mean? Can I call myself Grandmaster? And they said no. I didn't even ask about the Furious 5 or anything else, but I just said Grandmaster. They said no. But I could give myself that title now if I wanted it. Yes, I have trained a lot of agents on this topic. I train all the time on a variety of things, but nothing is nearer and dearer to my heart than short sales and distressed properties. I just think it's kind of like an ignored area. Most people avoid it like the plague, and it bothers me because there's so many people that need help. And if you are not aware of this, I recently, well, if you want to call a year ago, my wife and I acquired the CDPE designation. It had gone silent for a while and we acquired it, and I couldn't be prouder. And that just goes to show that anything is possible in this great country, because I went from working for this brand to owning the brand. And we're excited that we brought it back. Our membership is climbing, and now the message is getting out there. What are we going to cover today? I'm going to make my case for the coming of another huge wave of foreclosures. Now, not everyone's on board with this. You know, let's go back a year ago. A year ago, when I bought the CDPE, some people hailed me as a hero. Some people insulted the heck out of me. I mean, they truly did. They went all out to call me all kind of names. Like, how dare you? You're a money grabber. Nothing's going to happen. The market's fine. And you know what? I don't get a lot of that now. I don't really get a lot of that now. And I wonder why. I'll share. Well, the folks that are going to go through foreclosure, and by the way, now would be a great time to say foreclosures never went away. They weren't front page news. They weren't sexy anymore. But every single day, there are people losing their homes. All right. And for them, it's critical. It's no longer the market that it was in 2008 and 9 and 10, and maybe never will be. Let's talk about that. But it is a wonderful niche. And I say wonderful in the sense for people that have a heart to serve. Because if you care about people losing their home and you want them to do everything they can to prevent that, and if they have no choice but to leave, to exit with some dignity, then that's a calling that I think you ought to respond to. Then we're going to transition a little bit, because people that are losing their home are either going to have equity, and that's a regular sale, or they're not going to have equity, and that's a unique situation that's called a short sale. And the vast majority of agents are completely clueless on what a short sale is. The industry is divided into 2 groups: people that were around back in the day, 8, 09, 10, and they had to do short sales. And then there's a whole generation of agents that haven't gone through a market like we're about to go into right now. They're the ones that are least prepared to get out there, not only to survive, but thrive in this market. Then I'm going to introduce you to my designation, because if you are interested in learning how to engage with distressed homeowners, there's no finer course. I'll put my course against anyone. And that's not my opinion. It's people that have taken the other classes and have taken my CDPE. There's no comparison. And look, content is content. Delivery is everything. And when I bring it, I bring it. Then for hanging out with me, not only do you get special pricing, because I'm going to offer you a special deal to get going on your CDPE, whether you do the Zoom or you do the live, but I'm also going to give you a bonus lead generation tip that you can start using immediately. So is another wave of disclosures coming? Well, I got to do my disclaimer. Here's what I'm not. I'm not an economist. Folks, I never even graduated from high school, let alone college or an economist, but I can read. So I'm not an economist, but I'm also not this dude, because this is our industry right now. We're seeing people wake up. More and more people are waking up to the realities of what's going on. But for the past couple of years, we have had a fun ride. We've been printing money in this industry, and people don't want to say goodbye to that. I don't blame you. As an office, we killed it last year. We did over $150 million in sales as an office last year, but that was last year, and things are changing. There's opinion and then there's fact. We're all entitled to our own opinions, but not our own facts. So let's look at some stats. Foreclosure filings, and I want to separate filings from starts. Filings includes default notices when they schedule the auction, when the auctions take place, which is essentially the bank repossessing. When you look at that grouping from May of 2022, these are the latest stats that just came out through these wonderful folks over at Adam. They're amazing when it comes to the stats. 185% increase over last year, and a small increase over the year before. Now, I know what some people say. It's divided in two groups. Wow, that's a huge number. Yes, it is. But you're up against low numbers for last year. You're right. But people have to understand that the lenders are beginning the foreclosure process. What was on hold for 2 years because of the moratoriums is no longer in place. In fact, let's take a look at the stats for foreclosure starts. This is when the lender formally initiates the foreclosure process. Check this out, 274% increase over the year before. Now down 1% against last month, but you see the trend, right? The lenders are waking up. They're tired of waiting, and they're beginning the process of taking these folks' homes away. All right, quarterly, this past quarter was up 132% against the same quarter last year, and 39% over the quarter before. It'd be easy to make up numbers. These are real. Go to adam.com, check them out for yourself. I think I'm making the argument that the numbers support us at least paying attention to what's coming. Now, which are the top 5 states? Florida, yay! We're number 1, followed by California, and then Texas, Illinois, Ohio. New Jersey's up there, Indiana's up there, Colorado is up there. So we're seeing the numbers start to come up, and this is very reminiscent of how it was back in the day. Because in 2008, it was Florida, and in 09, Florida, but in California started hitting, and then California just had the highest numbers because of the population. They had the highest foreclosure numbers for years. Now, here's an area of big concern for me. Even though overall delinquencies are fairly low, and you know what? I've had people kind of test me on that. They said, Tony, I don't understand where you're coming from with this. Delinquency numbers are very low right now. Okay, yes, I understand that. But I live in a state that's known for hurricanes. You know when we have the best weather, I mean, the most gorgeous weather? 2 or 3 days prior to a hurricane, and then it hits. So I'm not led by these stats that are being reported about delinquencies. Now, I'm very concerned about FHA delinquencies because these are the folks that are going to be hurt the most. A lot of these folks bought recently. They are the ones that required a little extra assistance to get into the homes. And as payments become harder and harder to afford, we're going to talk about that a little later. What is causing people to stop making their payments? We need to digest this. It wasn't like it was before with interest rates resetting, loans resetting because of adjustable rate. It's being driven by other factors. So keep an eye on this. If you're in an area that has had a lot of FHA purchases in the last year, 2 or 3, keep an eye on these folks. They're very vulnerable. What are other factors that are contributing to another wave coming? Well, as I mentioned, the moratoriums were lifted. See, everything was false. Everything was artificial. The feds and the states did not allow lenders to foreclose or evict for rentals. And that kept a whole lot of people in their homes that one could argue should never have been allowed to stay in their homes for that long. These protections are lifted. Now, some states tend to rush faster than others. Some states take longer than others. If you're in a judicial state like Florida, the process can take significantly longer. Non-judicial states, meaning that the lenders can foreclose outside of the court system, the process is much faster. Now, remember forbearance? When forbearance started, the CARES Act was passed April of 2020. And I got to tell you, that's when I decided to start teaching short sales hot and heavy again. I created a course called Short Sale Mastery, and I started teaching it via Zoom. And then shortly after that, I got the idea to buy the CDPE. So what really motivated me to do it is when 8 to 9 million people decided to stop paying their mortgages because they could. And look, some people couldn't. I understand COVID hit hard. We had the lockdowns. A lot of folks could not afford to make the payments. But how many people took up the feds and say, oh, you mean I don't have to make my payments? There are no penalties. There's no negative consequences. Let's have at it. 6 months initially, extended for another 6 months, extended for a third 6 months. And I believe FHA was given up to 24 months that they didn't have to make their payments. All right, so a certain percentage of people exited forbearance, 100% caught up. Others, many others, hundreds of thousands of others exited with modifications, arrangements. What happens to all the payments that they didn't make? Are they forgiven? Not in this lifetime. They're put on the back of the loan or they're added as another loan. What does it do when the property is sold? What happens to these loans? People forget about them. See, here's what I preach. You're with me or not. I look at things like short-term and long-term. We have some issues short-term, but this is just the tip of the spear. It's not going to get really bad until mid to late next year. That's what I think is going to get really, really bad. And all bets are off going into 2024. There's just too many things that we just can't see as far as the economy. More on that in a little bit. So this is an area where a lot of people were able to exit. Now, there's still a lot of people, maybe 400,000 to 500,000 that are still in this process trying to work something out. Those are the more problematic ones. They may not be able to work anything out and they have no choice but to exit the property. Now, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, inflation. Now, I was never an expert in this area. I'm becoming one. Did you know that the numbers just came out earlier this week for May? 8.6%, highest number in over 40 years. All right, folks, this is hurting us. This is basically a hidden tax. People say 8.6%, hey, that's not so bad. Well, what about gasoline? We topped $5 a gallon nationwide this week, double what it was 2 years ago. People, I mean, I'm blessed. I can afford it, but it takes $100+ to fill my tank, and I'm not happy. Imagine someone that's working paycheck to paycheck. Do you know that about 62 to 64% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? When their expenses, food, what's that up 20-something%? Gasoline, 50%, 100%? Come on, folks. The money's got to come from somewhere. And if it's not there, maybe they're going to stop making their mortgage payments because they got to eat. They got to keep the lights on. Now, what's the Fed going to do? You tell me. I was hoping to have a decision before the call started. Maybe they've already decided while the call began. But they're meeting today. As we speak, they're meeting. And everyone is predicting an increase. It's not if they're going to increase. They're going to increase. Now, the question is, will they take it easy and only do a 0.5 point? Or will they be aggressive and go 3/4 and maybe as high as a point increase? I got a feeling they're going to go a point. I got a feeling they're going to go all in. And then what happens is when that happens, the cost of money goes up everywhere. You've seen what's been happening to our loan rates, how people that need financing to buy are being pushed out of the market. They're either saying, I'm done, I'm out of here, or I no longer qualify for the property I want. So this is trickling down to our industry every single day. Almost every day I'm in contact with my agent saying, here's an idea, here's an idea, here's a strategy. Because I know it's much tougher for them to get their buyers approved and under contract right now. This is a joke. Potential recession? I mean, is there anybody in this room that believes that we're not already in a recession? We're halfway there. The first quarter, we had a negative GDP, and everything is pointing to the fact that we're in the second one right now. 2 consecutive quarters, you're officially in a recession. And I got to tell you something, if we're not this quarter, we probably will be next, because you know what happens when the feds do everything they can to cool an economy that's out of control? They overcompensate. They overcompensate in almost every situation, if not every situation that we've had inflation running away, they overcompensate and drives us right into a recession. Now, a lot of real estate agents don't recall a recession. You know, when we had 2 years ago, the one we had 2 years ago because of COVID, you mean when we were spiking in the real estate industry and selling more than we could handle? No, I'm not talking about that kind of recession. I'm talking about 2008, 9, and 10, that period of time. I'm already telling my agents, what do you have? What are you going to do to survive in a true recession? How are you going to build your businesses? Housing bubble. Oh man, try mentioning this a year ago. Now, let me take you back in time. If you were licensed back in 2006 and 7, you remember housing bubble coming up. Who pushed back the hardest? Who was vehemently opposed to any concept that there was a housing bubble brewing? Real estate agents. Write this down. We are famous for the following. We get high on our own supply. That's right. You know, we drank the Kool-Aid, baby. What housing bubble? Then 2008 hit. And when it hit, how fast did it hit? It was weeks. Just a matter of a couple of months, we saw dramatic reductions in property values. Is that going to happen again? I don't know. Let's look at some of the signs. If you Google now, housing bubble, you start getting a lot of options to click on. And these aren't guys like me that are not economists and never even graduated from high school. There's some pretty well-known folks that are stepping up, like Jeremy Grantham saying that we're in the 5th great bubble of our modern era on fortune.com. You got to go check these things out. A lot of times people are like, I don't want to read the news. You know, you just can't just like say, I'm not going to pay attention to this stuff. It's happening, right? How about this one? The US housing market is at the beginning stages of the most significant contraction in activity since 2006. Len Kiefer, Deputy Chief Economist at Freddie Mac, tweeted, "Should you pay attention to something like this?" What about this one? I just pulled this up on fortune.com. This is the degree to which regional home prices are overvalued. So check this out. Among the 413 regional housing markets measured by Moody Analytics, the firm deems 96% are overvalued. Simply put, nearly the entire country has house prices that are higher than underlying fundamentals would historically support. At least 40 markets have been identified as potential drops of 20, 25 to 30% in value. You know what's going on out there. There's no sanity what's going on right now with people buying. And I'm going to give you my humble opinion. Okay, my humble opinion. People are going to buy homes to live in because you need shelter, you need a place to live. But my wife and I, again, we're in a blessed position. We were this close to making it was probably a $900,000 offer on a vacation home in an area not far from Florida. We said no. Now that property has subsequently sold significantly higher than asking price. But I'm saying, no, I'm not buying a second property that's going to tank in price. Yes, it will. When this corrects, these incredibly inflated prices that people are paying $20, $30, $40, $50,000 over appraised price. No. You know, this is another sign of the times. What happened back in 2006 and 7? People were buying second and third properties like they were going out of style. And which were the first ones that went into foreclosure? The second and third properties. No, I'm not doing that again. I did it before. I'm not doing that again. Now, I hear this every time. Yesterday, I was at a great breakfast, mastermind, very intelligent brokers there saying, "Tony, but we're an equity-rich nation." And I go, you know how many times I hear this? So let's talk about this. Now, look, we have more equity now than ever before. No, I get it. But here's my question is, how much of that's been tapped already? What do human beings do when they have money in their pocket? It burns a hole in their pockets and they got to spend it, right? So when you're sitting on all this cash, instead of saying, oh man, it's so great to have all this money to fall back on retirement. No. Let's go pull it out. Like the fourth quarter of last year when $80 billion in equity was withdrawn in just one quarter alone. Now, check this out. A lot of folks don't want to think about this, and I'm sorry for bringing all this great news to you this morning, but it is what it is, right? So, you know, refinances exceptionally died, right? When the interest rates started going up, refis died. What's surging now? Something that have fallen out of favor, something that wasn't so popular anymore. HELOCs are back. HELOCs are surging. Talk to any banker and see the level of interest in this. Oh, and these HELOCs are going to be aggressive, man. They're going to offer you some really nice loan to value opportunities there, right? And just like before, people are going to take that checkbook out and they're going to spend it. They just burns a hole in their pocket. It's not good enough for it to be sitting there. I got to spend it on something, right? What do people spend their money on? So this was another great report that came out. This was a few months ago. Home improvement project. Yeah, see, that's smart. If you're going to pull money out of your house, put it back in your house. But guess what? A Corvette is not home improvement. A Corvette is driveway improvement. All right. Investment opportunities. Yes, crypto, the stock market. Let's pull money out of our shelter and let's put it into speculative investments like crypto. And look, I'm a fan of cryptocurrency. Don't get me wrong. You know, I'm launching my own. So don't tell me I don't believe in cryptocurrencies. I believe in it, but I don't believe that you borrow against your nest egg to go buy it. That's insane. And that's what people are doing. And then there's other things like you see everyday purchases like cars, boats, second homes, right? And look, sometimes I look at Facebook and I think that I got transported back into the 80s. Remember the 80s? All greed, all opulence. Does anybody really care that you bought that new car? I don't. Now, as you're showing off the new car you just bought, you know that there are people on there that are struggling to make their home payments, they're struggling to make their car payments, they're struggling to buy gas, and they're struggling to buy food. But go ahead and show off the car that you just probably leased, okay? Yeah, I got a pet peeve about that. Undoubtedly, another wave is coming. And then people will say, Tony, but is it gonna be as bad? Okay, good question. This is 2008. This is a tsunami that hit in 2008. Call this 100-footer that hit us broadside. People want to know if it's going to be as bad. All right, crystal ball, what do you tell me? No, it won't. I'm thinking it's going to be a 25-footer, maybe a 30-footer. People will go ahead and say, see, it's not going to be as bad. And I go, hold on a second, dude. If you're the one standing on this rock right here, right? You're standing on this rock. Why? I don't know. But you're standing on this rock in 2022, and there's a 30-foot tsunami coming your way. Are you thanking your lucky stars that it's not a 100-footer? No, I didn't think so. Follow-up question. Are we going to get more short sales? Is there going to be another wave of short sales? Ooh, this is tougher to answer. Initially, no. We always have some. We have short sales now. Can you believe I'm actually asked this question? Tony, are there any short sales happening now? Yeah, of course they are, but it's not in the news. It's not the market. It's a niche. Now, do I believe that there are people with more equity there? Sure. But then here's the question I have for you. How long are you planning on being in this business? Look, some people don't plan that far out. Some people don't even buy green bananas. That's thinking too far ahead. So if you're only going to be in this business another 6 months or a year, what do you care? Why are you even on this call? You know, but if you're planning on being in this business for several years, you got to understand there's factors at work here that we have no idea how they're going to impact property values. You know, no one can stand up and say they're not going to drop. How can you say that? Or they're not going to drop as bad, as sharply. How can you say that when there are economic things taking place right now that none of us have any control over? So here's the bottom line. People are going to lose their homes. It's sad, but it's true. They're going to be a certain percentage of agents, I like to believe my CDPEs, that are going to do everything in their power to keep them in their homes. But they're going to be people that will not be able to stay in their homes. If they have to leave, if they have equity, that's a regular sale. Well, you already know how to do regular sales. You don't need me for that. But for whatever percentage of people are underwater, and the only way they can exit with dignity is through a short sale, then you got to step up. You got to know what you're doing. Because there's chaos and then there's opportunity within chaos. There's always the opportunity to help people, which in turn grows your business. Yes, help distressed homeowners. Learn how to engage them. Don't assume they're underwater. Just engage them. Talk to them. Find out if they understand the consequences of foreclosure. That's where my class comes in. Let me give you some insights of what I teach, okay? First thing you have to have a strong understanding of is that foreclosures are bad. They have dramatic consequences, long-lasting consequences to consumers. If you memorize these, if you make them part of your arrows in your quiver, you stand a much better chance of being successful in this arena. So here's what happens, right? For the next 5 to 7 years, because most people, after losing their homes, down the road, they'll want to buy again. Ask them, hey, have you ever thought about this decision you're making to just let the bank take the house and its impact on your future? Oh, I don't care about my future. Okay, I understand you're upset. I understand you're down. But let me ask you something. Do you ever envision yourself being a homeowner again sometime in the future? Most people would say, well, yeah, of course I would, yeah. And you go ahead and ask them, well, let me ask you something. Would you rather, A, live with the restriction of not being able to buy again for 5 to 7 years? Or if we did a successful short sale, you might be able to buy again as little as 2 or 3 years. Which of these two options would you prefer? Who's going to say, oh, I prefer to have to wait 5 to 7 years? It doesn't happen. They're always going to have to disclose their dirty laundry on any 1003 application going forward. Their credit scores are going to tank significantly. These are all very real consequences. Add this to the list. You know how long a foreclosure stays on your credit report? 7 years. A lot of folks that go the foreclosure route go to bankruptcy route as well. Great, now you got the Twin Towers. Sorry, it's true, because you're going to have foreclosure on your record for 7 years and then bankruptcy on your record for up to 10 years. Come on. Who wants that? Who needs that? This is where you have to educate, right? Because this is really what my course is all about. I'm not here to give legal advice, financial advice. That's not what my CDPEs do. They're there to educate and help people make informed decisions. You know, employment is going to become a big issue. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to throw them under the bus. But yesterday in the news, two major real estate players, two national real estate players, both announced that they are laying off 10% of their workforce, their employees, the other 8%. Okay, these are big billion-dollar firms based on the economic outlook. They already, boom, 10% of their employees gone, 8% gone. I shared that with my agents. I shared that with my staff. And I said, you see this? More and more companies are going to do this. When the recession hits and starts hitting harder and people stop spending, employers are going to start letting people go. And then it begins. Then the domino effects just starts to go in. So don't make it harder on yourself by having companies turn you away from hiring you because you have a foreclosure on your record. Maybe it costs them the job they have now. You know that there are many jobs and professions out there that you are not allowed to have a foreclosure on your record. You can't be a title agent. You can't be a banker. I don't think you can even be a teller if you have a foreclosure on your record. So having the foreclosure can drive them to losing their job, which makes their situation even worse. Maybe the job they have right now won't let them go, but they always wanted to go work for ABC over here. And they, sorry, we love to hire you, but you got a foreclosure on your record. And people tell me, well, Tony, how does that, what are you telling me, man? Is a short sale better? Well, here's the thing. Think about this. There's a category on credit reports called foreclosure. There's a category called bankruptcy. But as of yet, there's no category called short sale. Think about it. What about security clearances? A lot of people have them. A lot of people stand the risk of losing them if they have a foreclosure on their record. Now, does that same employer treat a short sale the same? Probably not. That's a question for them to ask their HR or their commanding officer or whomever. But when you learn to say, yeah, but have you given thought to this? This is what I mean by engaging. I teach you what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. Deficiency judgment, many states allow this. You know what that means? It means that after the foreclosure, yes, and even after a short sale, the lender can go after the former homeowners for whatever they lost and didn't recover. Not fun. Now, if we do a short sale, there's probably a 99% chance that we're going to get that deficiency waived up front. And you know what that provides to that homeowner? Restful sleep, peace of mind. Because who wants to be looking over their shoulder after losing their home, wondering when, if the lender or lenders, because maybe there's a first and a second, will choose to come after them. If I got your attention so far, then stick with me a little longer. I'm almost done. What is a short sale? Is it for everyone? Nope. But here's why you should pay attention, especially if you're a newer agent. I know there's brokers on this call. I know who you are. You probably hire new agents just like I do. Do new agents struggle? You bet, especially when it comes to taking a listing. Why? Because listings grow on trees. We know this. And the sweetest fruit grows at the top. Which is the sweet fruit? The equity listings, right? Everybody wants equity listings, the one that doesn't involve a bank. But you're a brand new agent. You go to your first listing presentation. You didn't know what to expect. You didn't show up with a ladder. The second agent, had more experience, shows up with a really long ladder. The third agent, because we all know that equity sellers typically interview 2, 3, 4 agents, right? The third one is the top producer of the three. They've been here before. They back up a cherry picker and it goes, listing taken, agent discouraged. So a lot of agents will say, this is not for me, let me work with buyers. Well, here's where short sales come in. Low-hanging fruit, baby. The majority of real estate agents avoid it like the plague. Why? They don't know. You know why a lot of agents avoid short sales? Because their brokers tell them to avoid short sales. Why would a broker do that? Why would a broker hurt themselves and the agents? Because the brokers don't understand short sales themselves. They don't want their agents doing anything that involves questions that they can't answer. So when you know what you're talking about, you're going to engage in an arena that there's hardly any competition in. So let me feed you some short sale 101. What is it? Well, it must be underwater. You know how many times agents get this wrong? Imagine engaging in short sales and not even understanding what a short sale is. I ask people all the time, what do you got to have in place to do a short sale? Oh, you got to be in foreclosure. Oh, yeah. No, you don't. You got to be underwater, right? This is one of the first things you got to determine. Do a CMA. If they have equity, regular sale. If they don't have equity, potential short sale. Continue. We get a contract. We send it to the bank. The process of negotiating, which is very entailed, begins. If the bank accepts the deal, they agree to lose the money and allow the sale to happen, the title to be transferred, and a new buyer come in. This is the essence of a short sale, okay? A lot harder than I just described, but that's just a brief description of what's involved. Anytime you want to do a side-by-side comparison of consequences of foreclosure, consequences of a successful short sale wins every single time. Somebody is unmuted, please. Can I have your assistance and mute yourself? Okay, there you go. Now, does everyone qualify? Absolutely not. And this is why it's so critical for you to understand the process. Write this down. This is a really cool tip. You need to determine if they're an ideal candidate. Write that down, ideal candidate. Who is an ideal candidate? Well, an ideal candidate has a hardship, something that they can prove, something that they can document. Like, for example, unemployment, lack of employment, reduced employment, medical emergency, death, bankruptcy, business closure. Do you know that this list is the same list that we used in 2008? We are now using in the class today. Nothing's changed. The same bad things that happened to good people back then are the same bad things that are happening to good people now. You just have to be able to ask the question, tell me about your situation. Okay. Now, a hardship letter. Yeah, the banks want it. Who writes it? The agent? You better not. You never write the hardship letter. That's for them to do. Because if they are committing fraud and you wrote it for them, guess who's complicit? You don't want to be that agent. Now, second qualification to being an ideal candidate, you should be spending more than you bring in. That's the whole point, right? Now, here's what I'm going to throw in a different equation, okay? If you were around back in 2008, you know that the leading cause of the initial wave was individuals whose adjustable rate mortgages reset. They went from $600 a month to $1,600 to $2,000 a month. Game over. Overnight, game over. And people say, well, Tony, that's not going to happen now. You're right. There aren't a whole lot of adjustable rate mortgages out there. But guess what's coming back? Adjustable rate mortgages. So let's see in 2 or 3 years how you're still feeling about that. But what else is driving their mortgage payments or their house payments to go up? Anybody feel a little taken advantage of by their homeowners insurance lately? Because it's going nuts. Homeowners insurance are going nuts. What about homeowners associations? What are they doing? Jacking up their fees. What about property values? Because they soared, right? Property taxes. So if you got 62 to 64% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, and their household expenses go up because their insurance went up, homeowner association went up, right? What else went up? Oh, okay, gas went up, heating went up, food went up. There's going to be a whole lot of folks heading into a whole lot of trouble. Now, if you come across someone that's not willing to fully cooperate and disclose this information, fire them on the spot. Fire them on the spot. You don't need that person. By the way, whoever drew that line on the thing, please undraw it. Okay. Next, insolvency. Insolvency. You know what we really got to do? We got to do a Zoom 101 class. That would be something that's really needed in our industry. Insolvency is a fancy word. Thank you for broke. Okay. The ideal candidate can't be sitting on a ton of money because the bank is going to say, hold on a second. You got $200,000 in your savings account. What do you mean you can't make your mortgage payment? So we got to ask the right questions. Now, don't confuse savings accounts and checking accounts and investment funds with IRAs and 401ks. Yes, those are protected, and the banks cannot seize those funds. But guess what? They might take those in consideration and think, well, you're not exactly the most broke person we've discussed today. Why don't you take some of that money out and bring some of that money to the table? So you have to learn to identify someone that's not an ideal candidate and say, listen, let's talk a couple what ifs. What if the bank said this? And what if the bank required that? You'll know what to say by the time we're done. Did I get your attention? Are you feeling like you want to help distressed homeowners and you want to find out more about short sales? Then you need to become a CDPE. That's what it takes. There is nothing that comes close. I don't care what class you think you have, what your association offers, put their class up against my CDPE, no comparison. We brought it back and we're stronger than ever. I think we're at 1,300 members now. I think we're probably going to get to 2,000 easily by the end of the year. I got two versions for you to decide on right now. If you like space training, take my Zoom, because I do it over 5 weeks, so it doesn't overwhelm you. And that's how the 5 weeks are broken up. 2 hours approximately each session. I record each session. You get the recording that evening. If you miss any session, no worries. You get the recording that evening. So for a lot of you, because of your part-time, other constraints, this is a perfect avenue for you. When people take my course, they get a year's membership in my CDPE. And people say, what's included? Well, you can call yourself a CDPE. You know, you can't call yourself a CDPE if you're not one. And if you were one 10 years ago and you're not one now, it's not the same thing. Use of the logo, use of the CDPE. I have an amazing back office that you have access to. We got forms and checklists and processes that you can do. You can proudly display your certificate of completion. It can help you to maybe get transactions that you wouldn't have been able to get before. There's an incredible CDPE to CDPE community building right now where they're sending both short sales and regular referrals to each other. All that's included in the first year. That's only $99 a year after that. It's nothing, $99 a year after that. Here's an example. In fact, you know what a lot of agents are doing? They're becoming my buddies, they're becoming affiliates. Man, I pay 20% to an affiliate on average. People are making almost $100 every time they refer someone. So I'm ready to send out a check to somebody right now for like $400 or $500 because they've been an amazing affiliate. That covers your yearly, that covers the course. So that's all included. $499, folks, that's my price, but not your price. This is what I sell it for, not what you're going to pay, because I'm going to give you a deal. And as I mentioned before, that includes the first year. And yes, I'm going to give you that bonus tip in a second. And yes, I'm going to take all of your questions. But if you want to save $100, use this code. If you want to get it down to $399, go to cdpe.com and use save 100. Doesn't matter if it's upper and lowercase, just no spaces. Save 100 brings it down to $399. Now, you can either go Zoom and the next series starts June 22nd. Now, let me answer this question before that is asked. Tony, I'm going to miss the first one. Tony, I'm going to miss the third one. Doesn't matter. They're all recorded. It's all good. We're going to meet for 5 Wednesdays, 1 to 3 Eastern. So make that allowance for your time zone, 1 to 3 Eastern. That's the next Zoom series. Go to cdpe.com. All right, I covered this. Now, how many of you are live in person fans? Because I am, and I was so thrilled that earlier this month, was it this month? Last month, I was able to teach the very first live CDPE class again in the beautiful state of Hawaii. So I got 3 classes coming up so far for you to take advantage of. Number 1, Colorado Springs. Okay, hats off to Scott O'Connor there for being a visionary broker and saying, I need you to come in and teach my agents. He made this happen for his agents. I'm going to be there Tuesday, June 28th in Colorado Springs, 9 to 5. Guess what? It's open to all agents. He says anybody that wants to come can join and participate. Next day, I'm in Denver. So for all my Denver peeps out there, Chicago Title, thank you so much for hosting it. It's going to be in Denver on June 29th, the Wednesday. All right. Welcome all agents. Florida folks, I'm doing one in my office in Davie, and I got more coming. I'm already in talks with people for Orlando, Jacksonville, Tampa. We're going to get a bunch. I won't teach live everywhere. This is why I've hired CDP instructors. I got 6 that are in the process right now of being trained and ready, and they're going to start teaching this all over the country. But I'll do selective ones. If people say, Tony, I want you personally, let's talk. I'm in talks for Houston now. You know, I might be able to go there and make something happen over there. Same thing. You find both classes on CDPE.com. Here's the bonus tip. Ready? Work backwards. Create 3 lists. Write this down. A, B, C. A lists are people that have a sale date. Start focusing on people that have a sale date. Look it up in the court files, look it up with the various services that are out there, but find the ones that have a sale date. They're out of time. They should be out of excuses. That's who you focus on first. You go after them with everything you got. I'll teach you exactly what to say in that conversation. I'll teach you what to say when they say, I lawyered up. I got an attorney. Oh yeah? You'll know what to say. Where do you find this information? The courthouse, the IMAP, Realist, or use services like landvoice.com. Landvoice, you can pull it up. We know what I like about Landvoice and their other services, but I work closely with Landvoice, is that it scrubs the name against the do not call list. You don't want to get in trouble, right? So make sure you do that. Now, here's your B list. Ready? I gave you A. B, folks that are officially in foreclosure, but don't have a sale date yet. See what I'm saying? The bank's already started, it's in the system, but they just don't have a sale date yet. That's your B list. Not the same level of urgency, but pretty close. Now, your A list are people that you're going to become aware of one way or the other that they're delinquent on their payments. Maybe 1 month, maybe 2 months, right? They're not ready to do anything yet. They haven't even come to the realization that they might have to leave. You engage these folks, but you're patient with them because they need to go through several steps. And one of them is to do everything they can to stay in the home. And that's where you come in as well. And if they can't, then you're there to assist them. All right, let's do this, Q&A. Now, I don't, you know what, how did I do as far as timing wise? Not bad, I got 9 minutes left. It's almost like I've done this before. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna check the chat area. Let me go back. And in the meantime, my hair is even receding. Brandon, come on, man, look how much hair you have. Let's not talk about that. Let's go back. Okay, so I'm gonna start seeing the questions now. Okay, now people confuse REO with short sales. Not saying you did, Hillary, but I get this question all the time. People will ask me, well, do you have connections with REO? And I go, hold on a second, I'm trying to prevent an REO. Okay, we're trying to prevent people from losing their homes. So if people can't stay in their home, our goal is to help them either with a regular sale or a short sale. REOs is when no one intervened or no one was able to help them and they lost their home. Can anyone confirm the website for the data? Atom.com, ATTOM.com. If someone could write that in, I would appreciate it. It's spelled not Adam as in Adam and Eve, but ATTOM, ATTOM. Okay. Thank you. Oh, okay. Awesome. Sabrina Payne. I love it. To everyone. Adam Data. Oh, Daniela, muchísimas gracias. I believe Adam. All right. Marva, thank you very much. Man, you guys are nice. People can be nice. I love it. Joseph, my office was starting to talk about this yesterday. Recession is already upon us. You're right, brother. 100% we are. My hair is, come on, man. A recession has been here. Hate HELOCs. HELOCs are double-edged sword, aren't they? I mean, it's just, I think it does more harm than good. Lots of short sales have been coming through. That's right, Grace. It's starting to happen. See, but for those of us like you that are in it, you see it. Folks that have been ignored. Yeah. So Destin, so you're northern. You know that the latest Adam report talks about how the Jacksonville area, that area is one of the leading areas in Florida for foreclosures. That's why I got to get out there. Look, here's the thing. Orlando hasn't hit hard yet, but get the training now. The thing is, do you want to be the tip of the spear? Do you want to lead or you want to follow? You know, when I talk to brokers and I say, broker, no one has hosted a CDPE class in Orlando in 14 years, all right, 13, 14 years. Why don't you become first to market? Because nobody cares about second to market or third to market. They care about first to market. Get a jump in the competition. Residential home, wow, great person. I have to leave. We had a pre. Okay, so let me answer John's question. Thank you, Jonathan Lee. If you had the CDPE before, you're what I call an OG. You are original guard or old guard or original gangster. You pick whatever you want. I've been trying to get you guys to renew. I've offered you guys the opportunity to renew at the old price of $99. And 1,000 of you have done that, close, but many of you have not. You know, there was almost 48,000 CDPs in our heyday. Now, a lot of the folks are no longer in the business, but I've been sending the emails out, and that offer is not forever. At the end of this year, I'm dropping it. So if you are an OG, send us an email to support@CDPE, support@CDPE. If you're on the list, you'll send you the link to renew. You don't have to take the course if you're an OG, but you should, because it's probably been about 13 years since you've done a short sale. And every single person that's an OG that's retaken the course has loved it. Okay. Thank you, Grace. Certified. Am I still one? Great question, Sharon. Here's what's happening. Same answer I gave to John. Send us an email, cdpe.com. We'll check and see if you're an OG. If you are, then you can renew. The CDPE was always an annual renewal. And if you didn't renew, you weren't a CDPE anymore. But it went away, right? It shut down, but now it's back. And I want to get as many OGs back into the family as possible. All right, let me see here. Me live class. Yeah, let's get it. How to become an instructor. Gone. Here's the deal. I just had my academy. I'm having another one. I'm going to have another academy. And this time I'm going to do it Zoom based. The first one, people came in live. This next one, I'm going to try Zoom based. And yes, I need instructors that are strategically placed across the country. I should have that information on cdpe.com by the end of the day. But write to me, CDP support@cdpe.com. It is exceptionally tough to become a CDP instructor. It's one thing to go through the academy, but then you have to go through training with me. And it's hours and hours of you demonstrating that you know the content. This is my baby. Okay. I don't believe anybody could ever teach it like me, but I'm only one person. So the instructors I'm bringing on, I'm teaching them to believe that they will be better than me. And chances are they will. I want every instructor to believe that they're the best at what they do. The audience deserves no less. Okay. What is the C list? The C list are folks that are behind, but they're not on the list yet, meaning that no formal action has been taken against them. Sometimes you have no way of knowing this, but areas like Maryland, I believe that information is public knowledge. Many states, it's not public knowledge, but you become aware. You're at a conversation at a party, a social event, a friend or family tells you, hey, listen, I heard that the Smiths are behind. Let me see here. Also, how far do you want to go? Well, A is simple. They have a sale date. If they have a sale date, then they're on your A list. B is anybody that's in foreclosure and doesn't have a sale date yet. I don't have an opinion on the SAHM, Melissa. I'm not familiar with it. You know, I don't have all the answers yet. I'm striving for that. But if you want to write to me separately, I'll have a chance to look into that and see. Okay, thank you, Moody. Thank you. Okay, so I've answered a question several times about what happens if you're a CDPE before. By the way, if you were a CDPE in the past and you renewed, you do get special pricing on the course. Okay, you do get to save money on the course. We'll answer that question over there. Okay. Thank you for this great testimonial, Dwight. Yeah, CDP saved a lot of careers back in the day. Okay. I'm in for oh, I'm glad you did this. I got a special bonus for you. So you know how different people learn differently, right? So here's what I do on my live classes. I throw in a bonus. At the very beginning, I say the following. I'm going to hit you with so much today, it's going to feel like you're taking a sip of water from a fire hose, right? So you're going to be freaking out. Don't. Because you're here, you're going to get my recordings included at no additional charge. Nobody does that. That's me, baby. So go for the live, you get the live and you get the recordings. And when do the recordings expire? Well, since I'm a lousy businessman, I don't put an expiration on those yet. I may change that in the future, but for now, when I send you the recording, they're good 6 months from now. They're good for 8 months from now. I want them to be there when you're ready to engage, okay? Oh, thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. Support, we'll renew. Okay, if you're able to renew, can you still take the live? Absolutely. We want you to renew and we'll give you special pricing on the live class. One discount doesn't apply on another. It can't be like double discount, but when a CDPE renews, they get $249 off the course, but that's $249 off the $499. Jackie, I'm sorry, I can't go into everything I said about 2008 versus now, but I'm going to send out the recording. So just go ahead and catch that again. Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you. Tax consequences. That's a great question. So I got some good news. Again, I can't teach my entire class here, but the good news is that the protection against tax consequences of a foreclosure or short sale has been extended. And I covered that in more detail, or you can Google it. But yes, our country treats forgiven debt as income. So if a bank loses money in a foreclosure or a short sale and they don't come after you, you get a 1099 for that. So you're going to have the opportunity to maybe get some significant assistance with that. My office, well, just look it up in Davie. We're right off of 595. And again, that's going to be close for some people, but I'm looking to schedule more live classes that make sense. But people are willing to travel if that's all you can get. Thank you, thank you. All right, I answered all of the questions there in the time frame there. It's 2:01. I've kept you longer. Thank you, Brandon. So folks, here's the deal. There are going to be questions after the fact, right? support@cdpe.com. Watch the recording again. Watch it as soon as possible. Share it with everyone in your office and in your sphere of influence, but you got to get signed up for these classes. All right, they're right around the corner. If one of the live ones is in your neighborhood, go for it. If not, you got the Zoom. Folks, thank you so much. I know we're going to do some great things as a result from this, and we're going to make some friends, right? Because most of my students, all of my students, I become friends with them. The recording goes out in a couple hours. As soon as Zoom sends it to me, I process it, upload it, and I'll send it out to you all. Hey, San Diego, I need to go to San Diego. Get your office to sponsor a class. I'd love to go to California. I lived there 20 years. All right. All right, folks, everyone, thank you so much. That is it. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to stop the recording.